Can't even talk to that person. Not understanding that there's a reason why you're having a problem communicating. Primary delusional activity, write it down, is behavior that arises suddenly and is not comprehensible in terms of the normal mental process. How many times, I remember, and I have to be honest with you, this was earlier on in when I wasn't as experienced in counseling as I am now. Had a lady that came in and she was sharing with me the stuff she was going through, and her husband had left her and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and she was just going on and on and on and on, and I made the mistake. I should not have said what I said, but I wasn't as experienced as I am now. I made the mistake of saying to her, I understand why your husband left you. I was looking at everything. I said, I understand why your husband left you. I could see why her husband left her. I mean, just the way she was talking. And I said, sister, I tried to make up for it. I said, sister, brothers want peace. That's what brothers want. Brothers want peace. That didn't work. When I said, I can see why your husband left you. You don't know nothing about me. You don't know. How dare you say such a thing as that? You don't know nothing. Now, she had what we call primary delusional response pattern. Got me? In other words, family, she had a sudden outburst in her behavior that really was incomprehensible to me. Because I didn't know what I did. Only thing I said is, I see why your husband left you. I was only responding to what she said to me. And my response, I said, now I see why your husband left you. You don't know nothing about me. How dare you say something like that? Who you think you are? Da, 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 da. Well, at least having understood what primary delusional response pattern is, it made me back down. And when I backed down, after about 2 minutes, she starts slowing down. Get the picture? It's really deep because the Bible says it this way. A soft answer turneth away wrath. See? The second type of delusional activity is secondary. Secondary delusional activity, check this out now, and this is where most of us are dealing with. This is what I dealt with this brother. It's called secondary delusional activity. This is behavior that is influenced by a person's background or their current situation. In other words, based on their ethnic environment, they have certain response patterns. Based on their sexual orientation, they have certain response patterns. I remember I got a phone call one day, and I try to be mindful of this now. I got a phone call one day from one of my listeners in WBLR, and they told me straight up, he said, Dr. Hagins, I'm a faithful and loyal listener of yours, and I love everything you're saying, but I am hurt. And I said, why? What did I? Because you said faggot. Got me? That was what we call secondary delusional response pattern, because his sexual orientation is that of a homosexual. Am I making sense? And he was very offended by the fact that I said, faggot. And I've tried since then to stop saying it so much because I don't want people to go through that. I don't succeed all the time. But I've tried not to use that description because it causes secondary delusional response pattern. Am I making sense, people? Hope you guys are learning. Another area that invokes secondary delusional response pattern is something called religious beliefs. For example, so what church you go to? The African Village. Where's that at? What kind of church is that? Secondary delusional response pattern. Y'all got this? Why? Because the African village does not fit into the paradigm of most people's religious beliefs. Then the next thing I want to know is, so what y'all teach over there? Now, they didn't study before. You got me? See, this actually affects a person's speech. This type of paranoia actually gets to the point, man, where it affects their body language, to where they're standing calm. But now you done told them you don't believe in Jesus. You don't preach Jesus. And now, what you mean, man? As though I just injected you with a poison. People that suffer from secondary delusional response pattern are people who are disturbed because they feel that you have something to do with their present condition. I know a person right now who's going through a deep psychosis because they feel that police officers treated them unfairly. When actually police officers had what we call, quote, everybody say, reason to believe. Right. Police officers had reason to believe a certain thing. So based on that, they responded to a situation and found something they shouldn't have found. And now this person thinks every cop in the world is bad. Because, and this is again called what? Secondary delusional response pattern. In other words, I'm in this condition that I'm in because of what they did. Some people go through that in relationships. Oh, let me help you here. You hurting. And you going through secondary delusional response pattern because you are hurting because this person did this to you. Look at somebody next to you and say, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Look back at them and say, you did it to yourself. We do things to ourselves by placing expectations on people that they didn't give us the right to place on them. Y'all can say Ashe? Ashe. You see what happens in secondary delusion. Let me break it down some more. I told y'all to write down thought disorder, right? Okay, let's deal with that now. Break it down. Thought disorder. Check this out. Now, thought disorder is an underlying disturbance of conscious thought. What did I say? I didn't say a disturbance of conscious thought. I said an underlying disturbance of conscious thought. Thought disorder is manifested in a person's speech and their body language. People who experience thought disorder usually manifest three main characteristics, and please write them down so that when you encounter people, if you see this, you'll know how to identify it so you can properly minister to that other person. The three main characteristics of thought disorder or disorganized